Good afternoon. This is the Community Redevelopment Agency workshop on the parking garage mural project. It is Tuesday, August 20th, 2019 at 4:31 p.m. Can you please call the roll?
Chair Llewellyn.
Here.
Vice Chair Ogden.
Here.
Board Member Brandemar.
Here.
Board Member Harris.
Here.
Board Member James.
Here.
CRA Director Williams.
Here.
City Attorney Ansbro.
Only item for discussion today is the parking garage mural project. Will that be you starting?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Good afternoon, CRA Board. Just to refresh you on the progress of this project, on May 14th at our CRA Board meeting, we presented the top-ranked submissions as recommended by the Creative Arts Council Advisory Board. And at that point, we received direction to bring back the full list of proposals and those renderings. And we did so at the June 11th CRA board meeting, at which time the board decided that it might be best to rethink the mural project from the wide wall to the columns because of the city center project that's forthcoming, as well as potentially for any budgetary reasons and considerations that may be impacted. It was at that time that the CRA board also by consensus asked that we bring back two of the artists, Jacqueline Laflamme and her artistic partner Isabel Perez. That group was ranked number 1 by the Creative Arts Council Advisory Board. And then there was a request from the CRA board to also invite Irina Kanisheva, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, who will be joining us via video conference call at just a little bit later. So I think that the intent of the discussion, at least where we left off, was to figure out if one of these artists could capture the vision of the CRA board, and if we could come to a consensus on, a direction and how to move forward with this. So at this time, I'm going to invite Jacqueline Laflamme up, and Jacqueline has also provided some supplementary designs curtailed to the columns, and she will proceed. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Good afternoon.
I need to get closer
Mayor
to the
Llewellyn.
microphone. Get a little closer to the microphone.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
All right, I'll just start. Good afternoon, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and members of the Commission. Thank you so much for having us today. My name is Jacqueline Laflamme, and this is my partner in crime, Isabel Perez Salazar. We work as an equal team, and we've been doing murals together now for almost 2 years. So just to refresh on the very first submission that we did, the concept that we had come up with was called the Greetings Project. And we had the idea to create a giant vintage postcard on the wall. Okay, now it's not moving. Can we go to the next slide? There we go. So that was the concept that we came up with for the first proposal for the wall. And we thought it could be a very interesting design, something that people would want to come and see, great photo opportunity. But I realized we're not here to discuss that. That was just to refresh. So these were the 3 original submissions. One was with the letters. One was just a trompe-l'oeil, the idea of bringing the beach to the city and recreating that scene, and then just the letters. So that was the first 3 options that got us to this point. Moving forward today, we understand that you want to do the column facade. So we've come up with a few designs. One of them is not necessarily a trompe-l'oeil, but it is something that came to our head when we were looking at the Dania Beach logo. We feel that this is a very clean, contemporary look that might be really interesting and just draw a lot of people. It's very bold, it's very colorful, but again, not necessarily the trompe-l'oeil that you were necessarily thinking about. So in our second concept, we've kind of pulled the idea of bringing the beach back downtown from the postcard and putting the trompe-l'oeil beach scene. And I believe here, you can see it here without the palm tree in front. So right now, the palm tree that's in front, that's the existing palm tree. So it's kind of a little bit hidden. We use the angles that you had originally sent. So again, that would be repeating the idea of the postcard. The next idea that we had was to introduce the idea of the letters that were on the original design, and they could be done in many different ways. They could be done vertical. We could end up doing them across, but for the sake of this presentation, we did vertical, and we could do the background also in any color, so that could be another option for the wall. And last, we also came up with another concept, that the idea of bringing the sea, the land, and the sky together. So we would start off at the bottom with like a sea theme, and then have the idea of the land and the sky. Again, this is something, it's kind of a sketch that we did quickly. It could be developed and added to. So those are the four main concepts that we came up for the facade. And we think it's a pretty exciting project, either wall. Just wanted to let you know that we use the finest quality paints. The paints that we would be using, they are warranted for 10 to 15 years. They're fade resistant, and we use top of the line, great quality. So you're going to be getting a great quality mural. We can or cannot do an anti-graffiti coating. If you're worried about graffiti or you're worried about any damage to the mural, we can do a coating. And what this coating does, it allows the mural just to be cleaned off very easily. So if someone comes and spray paints it, it'll be protected. Hopefully they won't. Usually I find that when you do public art, people do take pride in it, and it actually detracts from people tagging the walls. But it is just an option that is out there that we certainly have added on many of our murals. We believe in safety first. If we were to be selected to do this mural, we would be using either a scissor lift or a cherry picker. We might have to use the cherry picker with the arm because there are bushes on the sides of the building. We would have a professional come out and set everything up. We're very much into safety. We would have safety cones, all the safety precautions, and we both have experience doing large-scale murals. Our timeline for the mural would probably be anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks, weather permitting, of course. Things come up, weather happens, but we would try to, once we start the mural, we will show up every day until the mural is done. It's not like we would start it and then, oh, we need a week off. No. We will be there. We will start the project. When the project's done, we will clean up and we will leave. As for the budget, there's a lot of things to consider in the budget. The labor costs, the designs, the supplies, paints, brushes, insurance, permits, equipment rentals. All these things need to be considered into the budget, and we would be very willing to sit down and work with you on a budget once we have a clearer understanding of the direction that you want to go in, whether we're going to do the big wall, the facade. Maybe we can negotiate both walls. I think it would be amazing. If we did both walls, my proposal would be to do the very first postcard with all the letters, and then the bold design coming around with your logo. I think the building would pop. I think it would look spectacular. So that would be our recommendation for both walls. And of course, if you're just going to do one or the other, we are completely willing to work within your budget, within whatever designs or vision that you may have. We'd be welcome to, do more sketches, and we would really welcome the opportunity to work with the city of Dania Beach. So thank you very much. I appreciate your time today.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions? Board Member Harris?
Jackie, is the paint latex or oil?
It would be latex.
And what about preparation of the surface to paint on? What do you have to look at for pressure washing or?
Okay, so first and foremost, the wall would have to be pressure washed. We'd have to get up there and check for any damages, any cracks in the wall, and anything that would need to be done after pressure washing. The wall would have to be prepped and primed. And we would check for the cracks and fill them in, and we would fill in if there's any little holes. I've actually had a really good look at the wall, of course, not the top. I didn't walk upstairs and inspect the whole wall, but it actually looks like it's in wonderful shape.
So as
So-
far as preparation of the surface, what you just described, is that?
Pressure wash.
Our facilities department would do that in advance of you painting the mural, or is that something you take care of?
I mean, we could work it either way. Typically, it's usually the city, whenever we've done murals in the past, the city usually takes care of the pressure washing because they already usually have people in place to do that, so. But we certainly could take care of it if it were an issue.
Board Member Brandon Marty?
Jackie, welcome. I was really impressed with this, and that top coating that you're talking about, I know for a fact that it works from Fort Lauderdale. It works. Somebody can write on it all they want. It's just going to come right off, and the painting is going to be intact. And I especially like the fact that you said, we're willing to work. You said it more than once. Within your budget, you said it more than twice. And that's an unusual trait. Here they come for top dollar and then smile at you, get their vote, and they usually run out the door. So I congratulate you on that. I love them. 2 no, the rest yes, that I like anyway. And I'm not going to say what they are to sway anyone's minds at all.
Board Member James?
Yes. Excuse me. Yes, thank you, Jackie. I wanted to know, have you all done the scale of a project and where could we see it before?
Okay, so last year Isabel and I had the pleasure of working with the city of Tamarack. The building is not as tall as this project, but we were awarded the contract to paint the entire building in Mainlands Park in Tamarack. And I would be very happy to
Is it one
send you-
color? Is it a mural?
Oh, no, it's a mural.
Okay.
It's a mural. It was the same type of call to artist as this is, and we won the contract, and we painted it, was it in January, I believe? January, yes.
So how big is that building in comparison to this garage wall? Like twice the size? Is it smaller or?
Well, it's not as tall. It's, I want to say it's like a 1.5-story building because it has a slanted roof. But
How wide is it? Like,
how big would you say the building is? It's not a huge building. It's not as big as this wall out here. I can't remember the exact dimensions. I apologize.
okay.
But we did all around the entire building, and we could provide you with that information if you like.
I would like to see it.
Okay.
It's a park facility with restrooms and storage in Mainland's Park.
Okay.
Vice Chair?
I found the dimensions. The area measures 57 inches high by 87 inches wide. It was the restroom, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
So,
Oh, it wasn't a
Yeah.
building.
Yeah.
so it was 57 inches high, but does that sound about right? That's from the article I'm getting. Yeah, that sounds about right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's like it's really a 1-story building, but
Yeah.
it had a peaked roof, so that made it. That's why I said 1.5 stories. It certainly doesn't have the height of the tower.
Right. So, yeah, you can, if you Google it, you can find the, you can
don't see the
find
art,
the
yeah.
picture. Huh?
I don't see the art, though.
I can show you the picture on my phone right now if you want to find it.
Okay, but I just was trying to get an idea of the size and
Yes.
give that to them.
And the call of artist was from one wall, but we negotiate with the city and we paint the 4 walls.
One thing about and I don't know if you know, so I love the Dania Beach postcard, but when you're looking at so also, and I love the idea of the families coming and taking a picture underneath, but I don't know how high up, because we're not looking at to scale. Because it's such a high building, I think the Dania Beach would actually be up very high. I don't know. I guess we'd have to figure out what the scale was.
I can tell you right now, okay, so right here, if you look here on this post, there's a door right here on the building.
Right?
In fact, I have it. No, it's on my stick, but anyway. The door comes up to about this palm tree here. So the Dania Beach would actually start, this letter here would probably start at the height of the door.
At the top of
And
the
then it
door.
would work, give or take a foot or two, and then it would come over the building. But the nice thing about that space is that people could actually stand back on the sidewalk, because I went and took pictures of this, and so you can actually get the whole building in on an iPhone, because I actually did that photo to do that Photoshop work. So, but because you have that extra space. Now, if the sidewalk was right there, I would have to agree with you, but you have that beautiful grassy knoll, and I think that would allow the space for people to come and really do a nice photo shoot.
Thank you.
I know that you said, and these all look wonderful, by the way. I know that you said that you need more information in order to get a better sense of the budget, but do you even have an estimate as to how much you think, like a range as to how much you think it's going to cost for each of these projects?
Well, to be very honest with you, I probably could throw out some numbers. I don't feel comfortable doing that because we have 7 different designs and 2 different walls. So it would be, it really wouldn't be fair to the council, and it wouldn't be fair to us as artists at this point to discuss the budget. Plus, we don't even know if we have the job yet. So,
Sure, but that might be a factor in getting the job. So I'm just trying to see if you have a range, like if you know on the low end of
That's
the
it.
simplest version to the most complex. Obviously, there's certain things are smaller areas that are covered than others. So those are, I would assume, and I could be wrong, would be less expensive. They would be less costly than something that's going to cover a much larger area and have much more involved in it, because some of these they have more pieces to them. And just trying to get a sense, is there anything at all that you could put together for us or that you could give us that would say from, what, and just, and not necessarily that we're going to hold you to it, but just to get a sense of it?
with all due respect, until I actually am accepted for the job based on the designs, I think I would like to refrain from discussing the budget, because I really think that you should choose an artist based on the work, and that you feel comfortable working with the artist, and that you feel comfortable with the designs. And as an artist who would love to work with all of you and the city and would be honored to have this job, I said it twice, we would be willing to work within your budget and sit down and discuss it. And I think that's the best that I can say right now. And I apologize if I'm not answering the question, but
You're right.
I feel quite strongly about not discussing it at this point.
Board Member Brandemarty?
Jackie, listen, talk to me. I see 7 beautiful pictures. They already proved to me that they're great artists. I don't need to see any more as far as are they good or judge them, are they bad. They're all great.
Thank you.
However, I agree with the mayor. Let's say picture number 1 through all of them can range from to what? With no number that you're being cemented in, dear. Nothing like that at all. But based on those pictures, and I don't know, did you know the size of where you're going to put them?
I don't know the exact dimensions.
But you saw that garage, right?
Pardon?
You saw the garage, right?
Of course.
Okay, so based on your eyesight, which is good as an artist, on the garage versus these pictures, I think what the mayor's asking us, give us a ballpark range. Say it can go from $100,000 to, or 200, just a range, not that you're being held to it.
Okay. May I have a day to get back to you? And I will put together.
Always.
I will
Absolutely.
put together a professional proposal rather than speaking off the cuff.
You
Perfectly
you
fine.
did
At
good
this
job, honey.
Perfectly
You did a good job. We just want to know how much we got to run our house in.
I understand.
You know what I mean? Every household has a budget, or you're going to be missing the bacon and only have the eggs.
And every artist is willing to negotiate.
Right there. Thank you.
Board Member James.
Yes, I wanted to ask the board and have this dialogue and see, wait, first, let me ask the executive director, how many columns are we discussing painting? Because I know that's the big part right there where the elevator is, but I know on the corners we have other columns.
Right. So we're looking at 1 or 2 columns being completed. For many of the artists that proposed, the anticipation was that they would have a space as wide as the wall on the east side of the garage. When we went back to them and said, hey, we might be looking at the columns, we told them, consider 1 or 2 columns because that would relatively amount to the size of the wall that they originally wanted to do. So if I can add just something on the budget aspect, there's several elements of the budget, the labor costs, the supplies, what have you, the rentals, that we would be able to pay for directly and get a better rate on some of those things because of our ability to purchase under government contracts. So that could be a way to save some money so that the artist is not buying directly and paying taxes and paying, the regular rate. So that's something that we could consider as part of this, like owner direct purchase.
Okay, when I'm speaking about the columns, so are they all that width? So you're talking about 2, that's the width of this? Because I thought that the other columns were a little smaller than those. And so are we talking about both, that's the width of that?
So each column is about 50 feet high.
Okay.
And when you look at the width, if you wrap around, not just
Okay.
the front part of the
Correct.
column, but if you're wrapping it, it's about 50 feet wide as well. I know it
Okay.
doesn't seem like it, but we
Yeah, it
actually
doesn't.
looked at the plans for the garage and, took the measurements down, so.
Okay, so then the question for us to have a conversation would be if we're talking about just that, doing just that as the first part of it, or if we're talking about doing 2 columns that will be on the outsides that wouldn't even include that, because I don't know if I would include that and then 1 column that's on the corners.
When
So
you
I'm a
say
little
that, are you
confused.
saying the east wall?
Yes.
Okay.
No, not the east wall. I'm not talking about the east wall. I'm talking about that right here. That isn't that what is that, the north wall right there?
Okay.
Where the garage, where the elevator is?
Okay, so there are 2 columns on the garage, and each of them have a elevator that goes up to, all the floors of the garage. So there are 2 columns.
So
that
we're not talking
exist.
about the corners of the.
Not the corner of the garage, the corner of the column, the
Okay.
corner of the elevator area.
Okay, I'm good now. Thank you.
Board Member Harris.
Jackie, I love it. I love this one particularly. Could you, just on the landing areas for each one of the elevators, incorporate the blue of the sea design, like right across there like that? Oh, absolutely. Okay, because I think that would be, give it a continuous look.
Yes, we could do that for, if you decide for a different design as
Yeah.
well, we could definitely add the colors in across.
Okay, thank you.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Would it be possible to get the dimensions of the building or the plans for the column? And that way we can have a better idea as well when we're working out our budget?
We can give you more than a day, too.
That would be wonderful.
But it would be better sooner rather than later.
Of
so.
course.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. So do we want to see the next?
Yes, so we're going to
Thank
have to dial in our next artist, Irina Kanisheva.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. You can have a seat.
You can be seated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear us?
Can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Hello, everybody.
Okay. Okay. So, go ahead.
Keisha, can you allow us to see her for? Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yes. Hello again, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Irina Kanisheva. I'm originally from Ukraine and have lived in the USA for 6 years. I'm based in Gainesville, Florida. I have sent you a proposal for a 3D anamorphic mural that incorporates different geometrical elements and creates a visual illusion, changes architecture, and makes an impression of different shapes on the building. It can be applied to any surface, like flat surface, and I believe would be amazing addition to your building.
Do we have any examples or anything that we can? Oh. Oh, okay, got it.
So
You can show the images that I sent through the Skype. I was the founder and curator of several innovative projects in Florida, including 352 Walls in Gainesville and our Republic in Jacksonville. I was the consultant for this project and worked throughout the states organizing murals and working with internationally recognized artists. I have a registered LLC in Florida, so I manage all the paperwork, taxes, and have a W-9 form. So the process of working is very easy. It's just a contract and W-9 form. And I extremely recommend you to work with the artist PETA that I represent in the USA. That images you can see now on the screen, I guess. And I would like to hear your feedback.
Okay. Executive Director, did you have something?
I don't know if you had the handout that says artist number 2. I think we're passing that out so that we don't have to flip through on the screen.
I don't have it.
I only have artist 1.
I only have artist 1. Nothing.
Ms. Pine?
Okay.
Thank you.
I have a question. Can we speak to her right now? Yes. Okay. I have a question. Are you aware that we are now only considering not the entire wall, but the pillars on the walls?
Yes, Kisha informed me. Thank you for that. I can work with any surface. I really like the big wall and hope in the future it will be available. However, we can work with the columns. And as you can see from the pictures, the artist likes to work with different architecture. And when it is placed on the corner or architecture like columns, it really changes and smooths the angles. I think it will be amazing.
And does this change your budget for the project?
No, because the budget is based on logistics, equipment, paint and supplies. That would maybe change a little bit of amount of paint, but it's not a huge change. It's more for the logistic and equipment, which is the boom lift that we would need for 2 weeks. In case you have one available, that would simplify the budget, of course. But I'm trying to plan everything that we would need working independently, which means I just have budget, I organize everything, it's done.
And my last question for now is how the artists that you are recommending, how much experience, how long have they been doing not garage murals, but murals on buildings that are of a substantial size?
The artist works for more than 10 years. He originally was a graffiti writer, as many muralists were, learning the precise technique of using spray paint. And for the last 10 years, he is a renowned muralist that travels and paints in different countries, a lot in Europe. And in the USA, he created several murals. One of them is in Gainesville, Florida. I can send you an image to show the specific mural. He works really fast. For these 2 columns, we would need maybe 10 days, I would say 14 days, like 2 weeks to be safe in case we have rain, because it's not possible to paint when it's raining. Yeah, don't know what else to add. He's very professional, very precise. He plans a design in advance. He uses math to calculate the specific size and length to create an image that from one angle you will see as object. On some images you can see his latest invention is to create like round circle objects, elements, and that would be a concept for your columns.
Are you finished?
Pita. Oh, let me clarify.
Pita.
Good, let me.
Pita, is it pita? The pita?
Pita.
Okay.
Okay.
Pita.
Vice
He's
Chair?
Italian.
I was just going to say that.
Vice Chair?
Hi, good evening. I think I'm looking at his website. Is it pita.net? Is that that's from your packet that you sent?
Yes.
Okay. So how would it work working with him? Would we give him the colors we wanted, or does he use does he decide it? How does that work?
The design?
Yeah, how do we know what we're getting? I mean, I understand we know the style of the artwork, but how do we negotiate to some degree what will the final product look like?
So yeah, you can, from the images, you can see style and concept and how it will look in the end. But for every building, he designs exclusive design, and it would be based on dimensions. So I would need to know the exact dimensions of those parts that we are going to paint. After that, he creates a design sketch with all the colors that I would show you, of course. It would be pretty much similar and consistent with the scope of his work, but original, not like any other mural in the world.
Where is he located? He's Italian. Is he in Gainesville as well, or is he elsewhere in the world?
He is Italian. He continuously travels the world. I work with him, and I'm registered in Gainesville, Florida, as an LLC. So on paper, that would be with me directly, and I'm dealing with the artist as a subcontractor or artistic team, whatever is more convenient.
But does he have a schedule where is he booked out a certain amount of months?
Sorry, I don't understand what. He has a schedule, yeah, and when we can consider some specific dates that work for you and for him too, because he's often invited to many different projects in the world.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Board Member Harris.
Because I asked the other artist as well, as far as the preparation of the surface, pressure washing, seal coating, whatever the building needs, is that your responsibility or is that the responsibility of the city?
And normally it's responsibility of the city, and we only need pressure washer.
Okay. So you don't have to apply a sealant or anything prior to the artwork? Just pressure washing, correct?
Primer. Did we lose her? She's frozen. No, it's frozen.
If you want something you are thinking about the entire project, entire building, but normally he would just use the space covering it with his colors, but we could see some parts of the previous color. We can also paint, it's possible that we can prime it ourselves. It just takes more time and materials.
Board Member Brandamari?
Yes. Good evening. I do realize that 3D is the wave of the future. I do realize that. And the fact that he's an Italian artist, he must know something because some of the greatest artists in the world came from Italy. You could see their works there all the time. I don't see in your budget estimate, that was kind of you to do the budget estimate of about $20,000. I don't see anything in there unless it's under material. Do you put that sealant on that because of graffiti?
Yes, normally I don't do this. Normally it depends on the budget because not every project wants this mural to last more than 5 years. And the paint we use is normally for 5 years or 10, which is guaranteed by the paint production. If you want it to last longer, I would suggest do sealing. We can do this, but it's not common. But
then,
we can.
So then sealant would be something else to add to your budget estimate. Am I correct?
Yes, it would be like $1,000 or $2 more, just for the product.
Thank you. 5 years.
Any other questions? Good. Board Member James?
Yes, it's the only type of, I was looking on the website and they are very tricky to the eye. I know this was something that initially we decided to do the 3D models of things, but I want to know, is there any diversity in the type of work or any type of photos other than like lines and circles and objects or shapes?
This artist works mostly with objects, some kind of lettering, which is not really letter, but can remind us of some calligraphy. And he is very consistent with his work. Sometimes he invents new elements, but it still will be very similar. I mean, he would not paint an object like a human, for example, or an animal. That would be still something geometrical, abstract.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we're going to leave her on the, wait, I think we should leave her on the call if she'd like to still be a part of the.
Sure, she can still stay
the
on, that's
meeting,
fine.
just as our other artists as part of the meeting.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I would like to add something to the covering with ceiling and graffiti. In case of graffiti issue, we normally place murals a little bit more up, like to not be able to reach for those kids who normally paint graffiti. But artists normally respect work of such a well-known muralist and never tag murals, so this is one of the ways to prevent property from graffiti, except of some young kids who would like to paint letters. But in this case, we just place the mural a little bit higher to not be able to reach it up with just a hand.
That's interesting.
Go ahead.
Can I just add to that? We installed a canvas mural outside between the library and City Hall, and that's been there for over a year, and no one has tagged it. And we know that kids go by there all the time, so just to speak on that aspect.
Is there anything else that we're presenting? Are we voting? Okay, so, I don't know that we're voting, we're just discussing it, so. So does anybody have anything that they want to discuss or add to this? Vice Chair?
Well, I was just going to say, because you were asking about, do they do any other things? If we're going by what was the initial exact request,
Yes.
it was, I don't think you could come any closer to specifically being what we said
Sure.
than this artist, Pita. Both of them are wonderful, but they're two completely different art styles. So I guess at the end of the day, it'll just come down to, like everything in art, which one speaks to you more and which one you think, I don't know, will resonate the best.
Yeah.
Board Member James?
Yes, Executive Director, what are we getting from this today? I know it's not just a conversation, and I know we can't vote on anything during a workshop, but if we could move towards something that we may be able to put on an agenda to vote on. So would you like us to decide which feeling that we're going with better, or?
I think that would be very helpful for you to determine which style you're leaning toward, and we'd like to sit down and work with the selected artist to come up with a rendering and a budget that we can work with going forward. I don't know that it would necessarily have to be an agenda item coming back, depending on how we craft the budget, if we're going to do some owner direct purchases, or if the artist is just going to do for the artist invoice for artist fees. So, we wanted some more direction, and we were bringing these artists back based on your
Right.
request so that you could talk to them, get an idea of, their style and how that could be incorporated with your vision. So I think that it would be helpful to us if we got some clear direction on the style and which artist reflects your style.
Okay.
Well, were you finished?
No.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Okay. Well, the 3D is really appealing to my eye. I'm not sure if anyone else's eye. I know that the first artists, they are very beautiful pictures, and something that, really is like a postcard or something that you'll see that could be duplicated into things that could be monetized. However, the initial was for like the 3D. I really love it. I really love how it captures your eye and how it tricks your vision and everything of that nature. And so I'm leaning more towards that one, if anyone. That's my discussion.
Board Member Harris?
What I do like in the proposal that Jackie submitted was that she used the actual renderings of the structure, whereas the other artists didn't. And my question is that possible for the other artists to project his images onto our structure? Is that a possibility?
For PETA?
Yes.
As a sampling, I think you're saying, right?
Yes, we need the exact dimensions to design a specific design for the property. And yes, it will be made exclusively for this building.
Okay, so I went on his website and I see his beautiful work around the world. Where some of those designs be on our structure, or would he create a totally different design?
It will be very consistent with what you see now. It will be similar, just different colors and a little bit different combination of shapes.
Okay. So, I mean, I don't think we can make a decision until we see the PETA art projected onto our actual structure like is in Jackie's packet, so we can compare what it would look like projected onto the actual building.
Yes, he can create the rendering. When he creates his final design, you will see rendering on the building and you will see how it will look in the end.
I think the question is, though, can we see a rendering, it doesn't have to be the exact design, but a rendering that's similar to what it might look like if it's on the building? So if we give you, if you have a picture with the appropriate dimensions, can he provide us with something?
We didn't apply the design on this columns, on these walls. I wasn't even sure that this wall specific was considered for this project. But you can see examples of his work that is more vertical, and that would be very similar to his design. He would create a specific design once he is approved.
Okay, I don't think we're looking for a specific design at this point. I think it's more just to get a better sense of what it would look like on the building. So, for example, the other artist that's here provided us with a packet, and unfortunately you weren't here to see that. They provided us with a packet of materials and a presentation that showed, you know, an example of something that might go on the larger wall and something that might go on the columns. And again, it doesn't necessarily have to be exactly what it is, but is there some way that he could actually do that for us, to put something together and send it to us?
He can do this, but it takes time, it needs dimensions, and he will do it once he is approved. But to be sure now how it would look, I would recommend to look at the pictures that I sent today that has more vertical design, just this way. But he wouldn't design it until he gets confirmation, because he's very busy with other projects.
Wow.
Board Member Brandon Marty?
You know, I love the 3D, like I said. However, I look at our city and I don't know if we're ready for that kind of art off the wall. In a nice way, I meant that. Don't do nothing to me. In a nice way, I meant that off the wall kind of stuff. When I see stuff that I feel fit into our surroundings, maybe better than 3D. I can see 3D in bigger cities, and I love it. Don't get me wrong. I just came back from Italy last week, and I love everything I saw there. But I don't know that Dania Beach is ready for such far-out art. I don't know. I'm on the fence with this, so you can't get a consensus out of me.
From my experience, I can say that people love it. Everybody comes and take pictures with this and try to interact with the mural, creating like an illusion that they're holding those shapes. I have always had only great feedback, and people will definitely love it. Speaking of the environment, the artist always considers colors that are around, and he may use the color of the sky to kind of blend the ceiling and make it more, how to say, to visualize it like 3D in the space. So what I can say that it will look designed specifically for this location, considering all the environment colors, where it is located. That's why it's important for the artist to know the dimensions, the exact building, to see pictures of what is around to create the final image. He doesn't create designs that can be applied anywhere, like a package of design that you can send here, there, or another proposal. He creates a design for a specific location.
Thank you.
Board Member James?
Yes, when we finish with our conversation, I would like to call down Louis Ramoli, who's the chair of the CAC, just to see what he feels about these two artists and the two different types of art, and if you want to.
Okay, I just want to add something real quick, and then Louis, you're welcome to come down.
He can compare it. He's
I feel like, first of all, I don't think we should be choosing an artist today, because I feel like then we're voting. So, and we're not supposed to be doing that today. So, plus, I think we also had asked for a budget from the other artists, so I'd like to see that as well. The other thing is, I'll just say my opinion here. I tend to agree with Commissioner Brandemarty about, I like the 3D. I really do. I just don't know if Dania Beach is ready for that right now. We are going through a renaissance, but it might be too much too fast. And I do like the idea of the postcard look. It's family friendly. It's I don't know. It just feels more like hometown to me. Charming.
Yes.
Very charming. But very hometownish, and it goes with what the city's about, I think. But in any event, just some thoughts out there. Board Member Brandemarty?
Yes, I too would like to have a local person like Louis give us his 2 cents on if he really thinks our city is ready for such an art. I really like his opinion, and I insist that he comes up here.
Louis, why don't you come down to the hot seat?
It worked.
Do we have a spotlight we
Thank
can
you.
put on him?
Hello, Louis Ramoli, 902 Nature's Cove Road, Dania Beach, Florida. So it's my opinion, based on the submissions that we received initially, that you all noticed that the artists, I feel we felt strongly about recommending, all came back to you with a visual of the actual project. You don't need dimensions of a building to put together a proposal, much like Jackie did today, to be able to showcase what it could possibly look like. I think the fact that you are here trying to make a very difficult decision, it's imperative that you have the artist provide you with a sample of the work on the actual structure. And that's not difficult to do. You have one of the individual artists that has done that being Jackie today and her partner. I love 3D. I think our mission was to try to present this board with a 3D option. But we also had a direction that we wanted a piece of art that sort of spoke to the world, because we are hosting the Super Bowl in South Florida. I would love to be able to see a 3D option that sort of resembled a little bit of what Jackie showed today. That resembles the city of Dania Beach, but also has a 3D dimension to it. But if I had to choose, in my humble opinion, I mean, I love the art of Petey. I love the 3D part of it, but I just think based on what we have here and what we're trying to put on what we have to put on, I think the idea of what, the boldness of what I saw from Jackie's presentation spoke to me more than just throwing up some 3D art. And unless I can actually see what that 3D art would look like on the actual structure, I honestly think it's just not appealing to me just to see other structures.
Board Member Brandemarty?
What I'm interested in is this in your vision, okay? Which one, I know what I feel. Are we ready for this far out 3D? It's far out, man. It's out there with
No, I think we
laser.
are. I think we are. I think we need to be bold and out of the box. I don't think we need to just sit back and be the sleepy old town of Dania Beach. I think we should show some more boldness and more vision. But I also think that it has to be in the right place.
That's what I
And
meant.
I'm not sure that the garage is the right place. And on the columns, if you were doing the whole wall structure or a complete structure all the way around the
Yes.
building, then I can see a 3D type art being more of a visual that we all would kind of be happy to see. But if we're only looking at columns, I personally think that what was presented here, I would lean towards Jackie. Now, I'm also a very big fan of Jackie. She's been an advocate of the CAC for many, many years. She was actually on the board. I believe, or not on the board, but she was I think a spokesperson. I can't remember what exactly you were, Jackie, but she's been part of this, our mission to try to do some type of art here in Dania Beach. And I like the fact that she's local and that she understands the vision of our city. So, but to answer your question, Chicky, I think we're ready for it. I just think it needs to be in the right place.
You know, it's you brought up something that was even just as great, really, about that artist with the 3D in another place. It makes you really think. I think that if someone from the Point was here and they saw her work, the lady with the 3D, they'd be a fool not to incorporate it in the entertainment section of the Point. Think about it, Louis. Like she said, people go there and take photos with it because to them it's unbelievable. I'm really sorry that somebody from the Point wasn't present. I really am, because that's where that work really should be. But thank you for your opinion. I value it.
Board Member James?
Yes, I want to ask Jackie to come back. Thank you, Louis, to come back, because I want to ask her, is there a way that you could present us with a 3D option that may not be as bold, but a 3D option or a variation of something that could possibly be 3D with any of your designs, and what experience you have with 3D?
Well, as I said earlier, Isabel and I would be willing to work with the city to create any vision that you would like. We do have experience with 3D, but out of respect for the other artist, I cannot stand up here and say that I will do a design that he does, because that would be completely disrespectful. But yes, we do have experience with perspective and working with perspective, and we would be happy to tweak the design in any way possible so that it fits the vision of the city. We would be happy to do more renderings, and so that you can get a complete picture. And of course, we would be happy to discuss the budget as well if we are selected. And we would like to do anything possible to, create the vision. But to say that I'm going to do the vision that the other artist had,
I'm not.
just on a pure integrity level, yes, of course we could do it. Would I do it? No, never.
No, I'm not asking you to recreate what they have.
Oh, okay.
What I'm asking you is, with the type of paintings and pictures that you all do,
Yes.
is there a possibility, or what have you done that we can see that was 3D? Because we may decide, no, we don't want to go with the 3D
I
version
understand.
of it. I don't want you to create exactly what, I don't think that that's just.
Anybody.
Oh, no, okay, so I
it's a-
misunderstood. I apologize.
Okay, yeah, I wouldn't ask that, but I just want to know, the same, when this was first brought up or first brought to the CAC and discussed here, the vision was to go 3D. So there was nothing that was provided that was 3D. So that's why I'm asking, is there something, or what have you done that was 3D that we will be able to see?
Well, you had actually, the original request was actually a trompe-l'oeil design. And the design that we provided is actually a trompe-l'oeil underneath the letters with the beach scene. It does actually go into perspective, looking back into the ocean. So I guess I'm confused. Like when I'm looking at 3D and you're saying 3D, I was thinking of the designs that the other artists presented, which I thought actually were very beautiful and very contemporary. So a true trompe l'oeil is actually like a hyper-realistic painting of a photograph. And that was my understanding of what the city wanted. The other designs that the other artists just presented were a lot more contemporary and shapes. So that's something completely different.
Okay.
But yes, we do work in perspective, and we could do something that's more in perspective and, you know, have that like distance where you're walking into the wall. Is that what you're talking about, where you're actually going to be like drawn into the picture in perspective?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Vice Chair.
Two things. One, to me, the key of what I love with your submissions are the letters. To me, the letters are everything for me, for what I love. So however the letters could maybe happen, and I don't know, there's a way to make it pop more, but whatever. For me, it's this submission, it was all about the letters. And then, is there a Facebook page? So I can, for the other artist, I'm able to look, he has a Facebook page and a website, so I can see a lot of different renderings of his work. Is there anything, do you have a social media or something I can?
Isabella
Awesome.
and I both have websites that
Okay.
you can look at, and are both under our names. And if you just Google, you could see some examples of my work, not necessarily murals.
Just put in
but
both your names?
Going back to the idea of the letters, we could definitely make those letters pop out in perspective so that we could make them pop off the building so that when you're looking at it, they would be sticking out. And then we could still have the beach design in the background. So that would be definitely, you know, a great compromise.
Board Member Harris.
As art projects usually go in most cities, you start with one mural and then you get another and another. I mean, look at Hollywood, for example. You've probably done some of those down there. I see an application for the 3D design. Now imagine if you're at Dania Beach Boulevard and Federal Highway and you're turning left to go east towards the beach and you see the place at Dania Beach, the apartment building, and that way up high wall that you see when you're going to the beach. I think that would be the ideal location for the 3D art because it would really make you see it when you head east on Dania Beach Boulevard. And as I said, that art, AIPP, art in public places, spreads. So I think from my perspective, what Jackie submitted is what we're looking for. And then we can contact the business owners around the city for some other forms of art because I think we need to start somewhere. And, you know, art spreads.
I
So,
think, and I think if people see it, they'll be more interested as well.
yes,
in doing
exactly.
something.
Because, I mean, when you go down, look at Hollywood, it's just, it started with 1 or 2 and now it's 50. That's just my,
Okay. Any other questions? Anything? Okay. Go ahead, Executive Director, did you have something?
So although we're not taking a vote, we can get consensus during a workshop on direction, and if there is an item that comes forth out of this with a fiscal impact at the threshold that the CRA board would need to take a vote on, then that would be an element. But what I've gathered in this process is that the artists, while yes, they're willing to work with us and negotiate, it's almost as though there's a little reluctance to do that until they know that they are, you know, potentially the artist that is going to be actually putting it on the column or on the wall. So I don't know if there's a consensus.
Tom, can you clarify? I just want to, I don't want us to do something that we're not supposed to be doing up here.
No, you can certainly have a consensus and then direct the CRA director to meet with the selected artist, whoever you pick, and then come back and refine this. So it certainly is important for you to know what she's now proposed as a new concept. It sounds like you want to see that, and she's offered to do that. Then you want to know at that point if you can elicit from her the cost, at least a range of costs, so you'll know what you're up against. They really need to know the money. They're a public body, And I know you're reluctant until you know, well, what are you precisely doing, and am I selected as the other lady for her artist? So however this works out, but we would need to know when you come back with the other ideas and you work with Ms. Williams, if you're selected, to give you the money and the pictures of this, maybe those popped out letters, which sounds pretty intriguing, I think, to the board.
I'm still not clear. So we could do a consensus that what?
Consensus to move forward with Ms. LaFamme to develop the pictures and come back with the cost and bring it back.
Okay.
So then that would mean we're deciding, though, on the art, on the.
Well,
I don't think we're officially deciding.
You have a consensus to go with an artist. That's what the point of tonight is.
With an
To pick one or the other. You can do that with a
So
consensus.
we are voting then?
Well, you're not voting, it's a consensus. You're letting her know, when we come back for a formal vote, it is likely that 4 out of 5 of us, or 5 of us, are going to vote for it, but you're not formally voting. We do consensus all the time, and we go forward on what we are told.
Okay. This one.
If you want to bring her back,
Let go of my 3D artist. Not ready.
or you can just adjourn this and bring her back with those details.
It's a-
To a special meeting.
No, not
You can have a
like that.
special meeting.
Board Member James.
Yes. I need to see more of these are beautiful renderings. I think I need to see more of what you've already done and completed, because I want to make sure that, this is wonderful. I have it. It's beautiful, but I want to make sure it's going to look like that when it's done, and not saying anything towards you or anything. It would be the same, because I didn't look at their renderings. I wanted to see what past projects currently look like. That's what's important to me. So,
May I send you a rendering of the Tamarack project and the finished product? Because I have both, the initial rendering and then the finished product, and then you'll have an idea.
well, yeah, I would want to see
We'll-
past
we'll do that, yes.
projects, not just one. I want to see
Okay.
like past projects, because even though this may not be exactly what we want to have the faith in the artist that whatever we decide, that you all could bring that to vision. So for me, I can't decide today. I don't know if we want to bring this back under discussion, but I can't really decide today, because it would be unfair, because I haven't seen enough of your past work to be comfortable enough to say, because I can put a lot of stuff on Photoshop, but I can't paint worth a lick. That's with you, so that's my 2 cents.
And interesting, that's kind of how I feel about knowing about the budget. I want to see what the budget's going to be before we actually go forward with anything. So I'm thinking maybe it might be better if we adjourn at this time and get this additional information that we're asking for, and then we can come back and maybe put it as an agenda item.
You could come back on as a regular agenda item or as a special meeting if you think it merits that amount of time. You could probably do it if you started a half hour early in another meeting,
Okay.
right?
They don't
Yeah.
have a consensus.
Can I get clarification on, and consensus from the board on where you're headed with this?
Mayor?
I hadn't heard exactly everything, but
Okay.
to follow up on what Tom is saying, I think what you're saying, Tom, is if the board
Maureen,
decides,
sure.
we can ask both artists to come back with certain things. So a rendering on the column itself and a more defined budget, or,
It sounds like Arena's artist does not do that. If he's not engaged, he's not going to draw up drawings of what it would look like, if I understood her.
Well, we could ask. We could simply ask, and if he chooses not to provide that to us, then so be it. But at least we can ask, right.
Well,
Well, we
the
already
first-
have his cost,
Yeah, the
an
first artist has
approximate
a cost.
cost. And then with Jackie, if we could get the budget and get the more defined information that was discussed by the board, and then we have them both come back to provide that to us. That's what I think we're looking at. Is that correct? Yes, okay.
board member?
I'm sorry, Board Member Brandon Marty, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, no, I want to ask her something. Would it really, really look like this?
Yes.
And we're not going to have any consensus at all, right?
Well,
Only to wait?
I do
What a
want to make
consensus.
sure we walk away with clarity. I felt the direction was that we're not looking at the east wall. I just want to confirm that we are looking at the columns and not the east wall. So for the artists listening, not the east wall, just the columns. We will send out the construction documents so that you can see the plans beyond the dimensions that we had given. So if that's the direction of the board, we can, it looks like each artist is missing one thing in the,
Aspects, yes.
right.
They're both, yeah, each one's missing something that we need. So,
Again, I'm not sure artist number 2 is willing to draw what
we'll
he's
ask.
proposing to do unless he's engaged.
All
That's
we
what
can
I
do
heard.
is ask them.
and if we
So,
just ask.
Irene,
him-
am I correct? He's not going to draw on the 2 columns what it would look like in colors and a rendering. He's not going to do that unless he's selected. Is that correct?
Lady
Irina?
picture.
Did you hear me? I don't know.
She don't know you're talking to her.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't hear the question.
It sounded like you said earlier that your artist is not willing to draw up a rendering of the columns of what he would do in the 3D unless he's engaged to do the work.
That's right.
He can create a rendering, but he is normally paid for sketches because it takes time and work, and he doesn't do it just for fun.
Of course. But we need you to know the other artist is not doing it for fun. She's doing it to win a contract.
Pretty much. Some concern.
Hold on, we can't hear. We can't hear. You're breaking up.
I understand. Yeah, I wanted to add, I heard some concerns about the actual representation of the design on the wall, if the artist would be able to work with the surface. So you can see examples of his work in different countries and different kinds of architecture and how it is already accomplished. So you can be sure he is a professional and will be able to work with this surface. And one more point I wanted to bring you for your consideration is when you work with internationally recognized artists, you get not only a mural, but also attention from the community and from international blogs. And I can bring you like 20 articles that were published in different places like London, New York, Chicago, other countries, highlighting the place, the city, and the mural that was created by this recognized artist. So think of this too.
Okay, again, if I can speak briefly for the board. They want to know if your artist, without being paid for it, will give a rendering of what it would look like on the columns. They don't want the wall. Am I right?
Not new art, not new art.
I can speak with the artist and we
Hold
can write this description or some kind of concept. Yeah, I will have to speak with him and he would say if he's willing to create a design. Unless he knows he's
Hold on, Irina, I think the miscommunication is, no one's asking him to do a sketch. It's just to take one of his pre-existing works, I'm trying to think of the best way to put it. Trying to pick one of his pre-existing works and put it on our column so we can see what it would look like. That's all we want to see, I think.
Yes, we can do this. Sorry
Okay,
for just
okay.
don't hear well.
That resolves that.
Definitely.
Okay, so Commissioner Harris.
Yeah.
I just had one more question, Jackie, about the nature of the budget. I know the city has probably contracts with Sherwin-Williams or somebody like that. Would there be a cost savings initiative if you gave the colors to Fernando and he got the paint for you at a discounted rate? That's a possibility?
I think actually that would be a great way for the city to save a lot of money, and I would definitely be willing to work with the city, and we could just come up with the artist fee. If you want
Right.
to use, the contractors that you have to do the pressure washing and get the lift and
Yes.
everything, that could be like a tremendous savings for the city, I'm sure.
then-
And I would be willing to, if that works best for the city.
And like the local Sherwin-Williams, I think we do a lot of business with, we could promote them as well as, a vendor on, even Home Depot.
But I would like to ask that we get the best quality paint,
And we could,
because I think that's very, very important. And that would not be the place to scrimp on the quality of the paint.
No.
Executive Director?
So
So the consensus would be?
I just want to make sure that you will be able to come back with a budget that's defined.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, so that would be the consensus then, that we'll have the artist send us the information that we've requested. We might want to put this in writing to them to make sure that no one gets confused as to what we're looking for. And then we'll come back and I guess we could probably just have it as an agenda item unless it's something that we need more discussion on.
Can I
Timeline, how long do we want to offer?
Okay. So our next board meeting is August 27th. I don't think we'd have anything in time for that. So is September, the September 10th meeting, if we could have your documentation by September 2nd, would that be feasible?
Yes.
Irina?
Irina, could you do that
Sorry,
by?
asking?
Could you give us the follow-up information by September 2nd?
Yes.
That's Labor Day, September 3rd. How about we do September 3rd?
September 3rd?
By September 3rd, just, people may be away. So, okay. Okay, so we have
Thank you.
consensus on that? Yes, okay.
May I ask one more
Yes,
question?
certainly.
Just so that I'm clear, you would like the budget just for the tower or for both walls? I'm still a little bit confused. Not the east wall, just for the tower?
Columns.
Just
right.
for the columns? And all you need from us then would be the budget for that?
Yes,
Okay.
make it easier for you. Okay. Okay. All right, so that's what we'll do. And that's all we have today?
May
Okay.
I ask one more question?
Sure, go right ahead.
Do you want us to prepare a budget just with the artist fees, or do you want us to prepare a budget with everything, or both? What would make it easier for you?
I'm thinking you do the whole thing, and then we can always pull things out of it based upon contracts that we get. So at least we
Wonderful.
can, I'd rather know too much than not enough. I think
Understood.
that would be better
Perfect.
for all of us, yes? Board Member Harris?
Just to be fair, since this is a public workshop, is there any other member of the public that would like to speak? Anything?
Okay. All
Thank
right.
you.
All right, with that, we're adjourned.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Irina.
Thank you, Irina.
Thank you, Jacqueline. And Isabel.